Good morning. Welcome to this session, which I've been looking very much forward to. And I am enormously pleased to have Silvia Lenaerts here. Silvia and I had a chat also on stage in Malta just over a year ago, and that seemed to be going quite well, I think. So we decided to repeat that concept, perhaps in a slightly different way today. So I'm going to do a short introduction of Silvia, and before anyone gets offended, I would like to let you know that everything I say about Silvia, everything I show about Silvia is public knowledge, all right?
But it is a surprise to me.
Don't get nervous, Silvia, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. So, you know, sometimes when you have to interview people, it's kind of nice to know who are they, do I have anything in common with that person? So Silvia and I have one thing in common at least, and that is that we are born in the same year, a really good year. Silvia is Flemish, I'm Danish. Silvia she's a chemist, educated from KU Leuven. I'm from the arts and humanities, educated from an obscure Danish university up north. Silvia is a marathon runner. She has run over 20 marathons. Her record is 3 hours and 13 minutes, which I believe is really, really fast. Silvia says that she gets lots of energy from running, and I think it's fair to say that I get my energy from other stuff. Silvia has 5 kids. 5 kids. I don't have any, but I have a godchild. And Silvia also has said that the more kids she got, the longer she started to run, and that was how she got into marathon running. She says it makes her relax. Silvia has a brilliant career. She's done loads of interesting stuff. She's an entrepreneur. She's been the Vice-Rector or Vice-Director of Research and Innovation at the University of Antwerpen, and now she's the Rector of the University of Eindhoven. I'm a former technology transfer office head, and now I'm what I would call a tech transfer hustler. I'm the former TTO head of the University of Copenhagen, but resigned from that position in 2024. One thing we do have in common, and this may be a surprise to Silvia, is that we both have a dog. So this is me and my dog. He's called Dexter. And as you can see from this photo, there's a really good connection between owner and dog. Dexter looks very lovingly at me, which is not surprising. I look very lovingly at him. He looks extremely obedient, and he sits very nicely to heel on my left side. Love, love, love. This is Silvia's dog. I call it Robo-Dog. And as you can see, there's absolutely no connection between the owner and the dog. The owner looks quite impatient because she's probably quite busy. The dog keeps a distance. It does not waggle its tail. And owner actually just would like to turn this bloody dog off. We can conclude from this photo, I think, that the owner is quite a busy person. The dog is stressed out, and I also probably think the dog needs to pee. Now the question is, of course, with this small introduction, how to get from this slide to something a little bit more serious. But I think already what I've said gives the impression of a person who is ambitious, driven, innovative, entrepreneurial. And I also know that Silvia is also has quite an open leadership style. For example, she has introduced lunch walks at the University of Eindhoven, where she invites anyone along who wants to go for a walk during lunch to talk about all kinds of things. I don't know about the photo here, whether that is from one of your lunch walks and the dog was the only one you could get along. I don't think so, but you know. And so I think now I will stop and leave it to Silvia to talk a little bit about knowledge transfer the past 25 years, and also probably more importantly, what lies ahead. And what should we do the next 25 years, and how can we do things even better? So Silvia, it's a great pleasure. Thank you for joining us. And I'll leave the screen to you.
Thank you for this very nice and original introduction. And I do appreciate you very much as a person, Karen. Thank you. And I also have a real dog, so at home. Thank you very much. So let's have an overview of 25 years of knowledge transfer and where do we head to. I think a lot has been achieved in 25 years. The third core tasks of the universities, that there has to be something for society, service to society, innovation, valorization, whatever you call it. People are really getting aware that that is an important task as well. Even also the awareness of IP. It is indeed true, there is still a lot orientation on publication, but also on other things, as for instance IP, but also policy, influence on policy and other things. I will come back to that later. What also has changed a lot is the importance of the region where you are, the innovation ecosystem, the culture of the region, the respect for the region, and the collaboration with the region. Not only collaboration between companies, policymakers, and knowledge institutes, but also with citizens. And also the different roles that are needed are much more clear. We don't only need university people, we don't only need academics, we need entrepreneurs in the mix. We need people who have had a company, who most likely have failed, which is a huge advantage because then they have learned a lot. And we need that to make teams. Innovation is a team effort. It's not possible by one genius. It is a team effort. Sometimes there is also the additional financial value, but most important becomes the social value. Universities have a responsibility towards society. We get a lot of taxpayers' money, so we have to give back to society. And that's where now we have seen the transfer from the move from transfer to valorization. So it has become broader. And then I would like to zoom out a bit on what is innovation, because there is a very nice, overwhelming study of the politics of innovation by Mark Zachary Taylor, and he has really done an impressive literature survey, but also based on facts and figures, of course, over the last 25 years, what is crucial to achieve innovation. And he has found that these 5 pillars in orders of importance play a role, but that's not the only thing. So, of course, most important is the protection of intellectual property, so that people are stimulated to develop new things and that they have the ownership and the right to do something with that. So that's really important, that the culture in a country, the government policy is towards protecting those intellectual property rights. But of course, they have to valorize as well. The research subsidies. If the government funds research, development, and innovation, that really makes a difference. The institutions, the organizations that support the early stage, high-risk, early innovation activities. Education, as third most important, a well-educated population fuels innovation, not only by directly acting in innovation, but also by being more open to innovative products, by daring to buy new things, by having more financial means to buy new things, to try new things, to try new business models. Fourth most important is research universities, universities that really drive cutting-edge research, that expand the borders of knowledge, and that do impressive new things with high added value. Fifth most important is the trade policy. Open trade facilitates the exchange of ideas and technology. Closing off an economy, a company, always has negative consequences in the end. A very nice example was Route 128 in Boston, where DEC and all the electronics companies had a very vertical integration, very close policy, all of them disappeared. While Silicon Valley always is open, always puts a lot of attention on openness, on meeting each other. There is the homebrew computer club, so a lot of exchange of people, and that really makes a difference. These things together explain 70% of why countries are innovative and stay innovative. But there is another thing, and that is the concept of creative insecurity. Everybody knows the word creative destruction, but the driver is creative insecurity. If there is a feeling in a nation, in a region, that the external threats, economic or military, is bigger than the internal domestic problems, that really drives innovation. So this is a huge opportunities for countries to innovate, because we all feel that something has to happen. So these external pressures prioritize innovation, put innovation central to competitiveness. Europe has the huge opportunity now to work together and to put innovation as the first priority in order to keep our competitiveness and our sovereignty. And of course, then we should take care of political instability, uncertainty, corruption and bureaucracy, because they can truly hinder technological developments. I see at a lot of university, a lot of bureaucracy that really doesn't help. So we really have to take care of that. And the need for collaboration between government, industry, and academia stays crucial for everything to happen. So for the innovation part, we really need tailored strategy. Every region is different. There is not a one-size-fits-all approach, but policies should align with the nation's unique political and economic context. It was very nice to see what Lithuania is doing on lasers, really focusing on lasers and life science. I like that, because we cannot all do everything, because then we cannot achieve excellence. So that is really great. Also, the role of networks. We need the collaboration with industry, because they can scale up, they can do the production, they can do the business development. And of course, really understanding the political dynamics, the involvement of citizens, can help nations to draft policies to enhance the technological capacities. So that's also about social science and humanities. Long time it was believed it's only technology push, we need big technology, then we have innovation. It's not like that. We really have to involve social science and humanities more, because we have to involve people, we have to make it happen, and that's not only technology push. Up to the next 25 years. So let's have a look at the definition of the European Commission. They define knowledge valorization as creating social and economic value from knowledge by linking the different sectors, transforming data, know-how, and research results into products, services, solutions, and knowledge-based policies. It's really important here to question the first assumption. Imagine you would like to build a taxi company. The first assumption that you would have is, I have to buy a lot of cars. What is the biggest taxi company in the world? It's Uber. They don't have any cars. So for disruptive innovation, we really need the universities, the knowledge institution, with people who think out of the box, who do completely new things that sound a bit crazy in the beginning, and that's what we need. So the different channels are written here. A lot of them were already mentioned, but of course the importance of the professionals, the knowledge transfer professionals, the intermediaries is really there. And I often stress this, don't put a lot of money to research and think that you will get innovation. Invest there where you need it, and that is in the knowledge transfer professionals. What I see, I've worked in different countries, I have done assessment in different countries. It's really not only the big money that makes big innovation. It's investing very focused in knowledge transfer professionals. Because there is a lot of research ongoing, there are great businesses, but the bridge, the gap between the two, that's where we have to invest. I really like the Draghi report. There is also the competitiveness compass, and it has been decided recently that FP10 will be a standalone program. So we have a chance of a lifetime, I would say, to help as universities to help close the competitiveness compass, to help close the innovation gap. There is also the joint roadmap for decarbonization and competitiveness, and we have to think about reducing our dependencies and increasing security. There is also the very nice initiative now from EIC, Strategic Technologies for Europe platform. It focused on 3 areas: digital, deep tech, resource efficient clean tech, and life sciences, biotech. So that is also very nice to find the focus area and to connect with what I've seen here. What you also see happening, and that's also a huge opportunity for us, is that European University Alliance will be strengthened. So we have to collaborate between the regions in Europe. We have the European University Alliance. Why invent something new? Use the university alliances to make it happen. So more money will go to the university alliances. Some general things, university partnerships become key for achieving competitiveness. And what Draghi also says, put research, development and innovation at the heart of our economy, because we really need them to protect our social model. We are not the US, we are different. We are not a completely state-ruled economy. We have our European values, we have our European security and resilience. And that's why, as universities, we also have that role to protect our culture, our openness, transparency, trust, and collaboration. At my university, we did a very nice exercise involving a lot of people. What are the values that we stand for? And what came out was curious, open, respectful, and responsible. And we now can really use that in everything we do, also in collaboration with industry, in collaboration with policymakers. And another important role is to create space for dialogue and co-creation. There is a lot of polarization in society. We have to be open to create that space where people can meet, can discuss in a respectful way. It's pity to say, but sometimes you see that people are afraid to have a real-life discussion because it's so easy, it's so, at social media, to polarize, to blame each other. But having face-to-face, respectful conversations, that's also a responsibility of the universities. We also have to make clear to policymakers that it's a dynamic knowledge cycle. It's not fundamental research, development, innovation. It often comes back. So universities should stay in the loop. It often makes sense to go back to the research, to dive deeper into something that comes out. And Europe should focus on the entire ecosystem of knowledge, skills, and culture that produces those knowledge-based solutions. We all have a big need of talent. In the Brainport region where I am, we need 26,000 people by 2030. That's nearly impossible because the demographics is not there, the people are not there. So how can we solve that? We need also the focus on talent and skills. If you talk to huge companies like, for instance, G&G, ASML, they all tell us the bottleneck will become talent. We still have a lot of untapped potential. I'm also very happy to hear that you have 63% of women in science. That is really great. At our university, we have only 29% of women, so there is a big untapped potential. So we are very happy with the Eastern European countries where the female participation is really much better than in Belgium, the Netherlands, and more other ones. So universities' expertise is a form of commons that benefits all of society. And we should act as hubs of knowledge, anchor institutions towards regional innovation systems. I often call us honest brokers. We connect different players in our ecosystems. There are 6,000 companies. We often connect them to each other. One becomes supplier or customer. So we have a role of anchor institutes. And we, of course, already said, we also play a kind of civic role to key enablers for society transformation to create more prosperous Europe. But innovation is not the same as research. So if we focus on innovation, we should really make up the mindset that it's not a bit further, going a bit further in your research. It's completely different. So our research policy is, of course, very bottom-up. Researchers do whatever they like. But for our valorization policy, we need focus. We really need to focus, where are we good at? Where do we have a real USP? Is there industry? Are there companies that can be supported by our ecosystem? We work outside in, we see what are the challenges and how can we solve them as a university. An example is the energy challenge, as you know or you know not. In the Netherlands, 12,000 companies are waiting to get a connection to the grid. So there is a huge problem with electricity. So we have developed a system with, of course, a lot of battery storage, but also to make more flexible connections to the grid so that more companies can connect. We also need multidisciplinary and entrepreneurial teams, get entrepreneurs into the mix, involve social science and humanities, make a link from the beginning, and not in the end of the projects go looking for, oh, now we need a social... From the beginning, you need social sciences and humanities, and of course, innovation or valorization is about delivering. It's really doing what you say and saying what you do. And very interesting there can also be infrastructure. Open up your infrastructure so that companies can join, can come and work together. At our new valorization strategy, we defined 4 pillars. First is knowledge with and for society, work together, do citizen science, of course the evident things, outreach, communications. Then we have the knowledge transfer, which I think is most known, and a lot of people still think that is it, but it's only 1/4 of the valorization strategy. It's, of course, the collaboration with industry, but also very important, the double employee mobility. We have a lot of double appointments between industry and the university. People that work 1 day a week at the university or vice versa, researchers that work 1 day a week in industry. That helps us to get the connection and to act fast. Then entrepreneurship, of course, everything around startup support, incubating, pre-incubators. And then open campus. There we really want to do more to open up our facility. We have Eindhoven Engine where we work on health. We have the innovation space where student teams do a lot of innovative things. And we use our own campus as a living lab. So we have a lot of testing facilities there. And I think that can make also the connection to society. Of course, there is also a national technology strategy. In the Netherlands, they have defined 10 key enabling technologies, a bit like the STP, Strategic Technologies for Europe. And there we really discussed with all the universities, and that is really nice, who is top in which technology, so that we don't have to do everything, that we can really say, okay, this is Delft, this is Eindhoven, this is Twente, this is Amsterdam. So that is really happening in the Netherlands, and that is important. We don't have to compete, we have to make the cake bigger. In our own region, we have a Brainport development organization, which is great. They really arrange, they keep the balance between private profit and public value. They connect, they are formed by industry, academia, and the mayor of the city, who is also the president of Brainport Academy, who is very important to drive together with us. We think in value change. We have an overview of companies that we have and gaps that we have where we should invest. Of course, the shared facilities, a lot of companies came out of our university. For instance, smart photonics, there is a big activity on photonics, which is very promising to keep our sovereignty in Europe. And of course, international innovation. We are all in University Alliance, and that is important. On a critical note, what can be better? We have to put research and innovation more central. We have European universities, they have unique strengths. If you read the Draghi report, we have all the potential, we have enough startups, but it goes wrong in scaling to scale-ups. So we have the potential, we have great universities, we have everything, but we need to focus on scaling up. And for scaling up, you need ecosystems and you need a single market. There is also a lot ongoing. Peter Wenning is taking a huge initiative to create a big single market for Europe. We also have to invest in people. Joint teams of academics, get researchers out of their silos, bring in the entrepreneurs, the policymakers, the students. All universities have the tendency to work in silos and to be a silo themselves. So it constantly feels for me like breaking down walls and getting people out and bringing people in. Also aligning national policy to EU policy. Often you see competitions between countries. We should really collaborate and not compete. Partnerships, I think it's already been said. Invest also in trusted network and social cohesion. The culture and the mindset. At universities, there's often the very traditional academic culture. Bringing the entrepreneurial culture is not a contradiction. It gives something more. It goes together with academic career paths. I'm now working very hard to make 3 kinds of academic career paths. People have to do the 3 things, research, education, and valorization. But at our university, you can now choose to become a full professor on valorization. So you write your bio-sketch, you tell what you've done in the past and what you would like to do in the future, and you can also become a full professor on an education or on a valorization track, and not only on a research track. So we really have to get rid of only looking to top publications. And that's a key, I think, to get people along. And the curiosity-driven research is, of course, very important. We have to protect it. It has to be there in a completely autonomous way. But it doesn't contradict with more societal-driven research. So both can go together in a team. Not everyone has to do everything. Also, the centralization versus decentralization discussion, I think everybody knows then. We need the valorization support close to the research where it happens, but we also need the professionalism. And the engagements with business, industry, and society is important, but of course with clear agreements, clear appointment, clear clarity about IP and other things. And how to assess the impact of research, of evaluation efforts. It's not only number of spin-offs, it was already said. There are a lot of important other parameters like long-term partnerships, long-term engagement with companies, with policymakers, influence on new decisions, influence on policymakers, exchange of staff. There are a lot of other parameters that are as important as only number of spin-offs. Okay, let's go to the next 25 years. Thank you.
Okay, Silvia, thank you so much for this presentation. It was very nice, very good, very informative. I wondered, now you've been the first female rector of the Technical University of Eindhoven for a couple of years. I'll be maybe standing too close, I don't know. What has surprised you most in terms of innovation in the good way, and what have you seen where you thought, this could be improved?
In the Netherlands, you mean?
No, at Eindhoven.
In Eindhoven, yeah. Okay, first of all, Belgium and the Netherlands are very close to each other, and everybody told me, oh, it's more or less the same. But it's absolutely not. So what has impressed me the most is the difference in culture. So that's why I also plea a lot for pay attention to the culture, the social values of people, because it is different. And you cannot come in and bring your own way of working because you have to get the people along. So in the Netherlands, it's much more economically driven. Everything is seen as earning power, is very, very open. And so there is a lot of money, and that's of course great, but sometimes restrictions and less comfortable conditions create more innovation. In Flanders was much less money. People were often more entrepreneurial. So what I really like is the involvement of companies. So industry is really important. They should take up the innovations and work with it. But you need both. You need great universities, you need the connection, and you have to take into account the culture. So what really strikes me, and I love to go to other countries and to see how it goes there. I've been to a lot of countries, and always the culture is different. And to get the people along, you have to take that into account.
Okay. You mentioned spin-outs and startups, and you say you have, in a way, plenty of them, but the problem is scaling. How have you managed to, I mean, that's something a lot of us talk about. How do we create more entrepreneurs? It's also going to be a theme of one of the sessions at the conference. So how do you, as a university, help create more entrepreneurs?
What I really think is connecting. A nice example is smart photonics. It started in our lab. Then you have to bring that entrepreneurial researchers into contact with entrepreneurs from other companies, other business companies, so that they can really help act as launching customer, provide infrastructure. And I often say it's all about people and the connection between people. Of course, you also need the money, but if you don't have a great market potential and people are not willing to pay, throwing a big amount of money doesn't help. So much more focus on people, bringing the right people in contact with the ID. And there are a lot of people who are not connected to technology, but they have a very fine taste of what customers want, where people are willing to pay. And we should bring in more of that cognitive diversity into the mix. So I truly believe, of course it's money, but it's also people.
Okay, fair enough, good. Please also, you guys, you're welcome to ask questions, and this is your big opportunity to be able to ask questions to Rector. Maybe the questions you would in a way like to ask your own Rector, but you don't really dare to. Well, here's Silvia, so just ask questions. We'll get to you. In the Netherlands, I know, or we know, that you have tried to create some kind of common terms for spin-outs, perhaps to make it a bit easier and to avoid some of the conflicts that can sometimes be between university TTOs and investors and the researchers. Has that made any difference, you think?
It makes it easier and you lose less time, but of course then you get the discussion on the percentage.
So thank you very much indeed. My name's Robert Harrison. I actually live in Germany, of British origin. And the reason you're talking to a very sympathetic audience here who are hearing your message and obviously enthusiastic about your message. But there's a more wider context, which is a society. Now, I happened to be a candidate for the European Parliament last year, and it came to, we certainly noticed it. And that is, how do we bring members of society along? And I refer also to the Netherlands, of course, where you have now in government 2 parties who are actually quite opposed to immigration. And you yourself highlighted the need for our talent gap, as did the CEO of ASML, I think, just even during the coalition negotiations. And this worries me that whereas we talk within our academic community, within the wider society of the more educated members of society, and yet we're not bringing the whole of society with us. We're not actually emphasizing to them that we need to support science and research. We need to get talent from outside Europe. How would you see the role of the university in that broader societal dialogue?
Yeah, thanks a lot. I like that question because I think it's our biggest challenge right now. We are seen as the elite part of society. We get a lot of taxpayers' money and we don't give back enough. So what we really plan to do, together with all the rectors in the Netherlands, we make a statement on academic values. And we really want to set up dialogues, not within the university walls, but somewhere in the cities, in the region that we are, to open the discussion and to get people involved in what we do. So I think citizen science, but also involve them in our companies. We need all kinds of skills, also vocational skills. If we, by only university skills, we cannot produce things. So we need all kinds of skills and all kinds of diverse talents. And to really get out of the university, I like the concept of university without walls, get out and set up the dialogue and do things together. In Antwerp, we had a citizen science project on measuring air pollutions, and a lot of people in different neighborhoods got involved. They could measure themselves, and then there came a whole action to make those streets traffic free. The city council followed us, and then a lot of people saw, oh, university also does things that are interesting for me, for the health of my children. And that's why I stress so much social science and humanities. We should really get out of our comfort zone and get into discussion and involve people from outside the university. That's why we also open up our maker spaces to let others in, and we have to do much more. But I fully agree, that is our biggest challenge. The public opinion is against us. And, there is a long way to go, but we have to act. I think by doing things, not by making big statements and writing long texts, going out, involving people, involving women doing. What we are also doing in Brainport is we are making Brainport Academy, which is a one-stop shop for everybody who wants to do something in semicon. From all kinds of backgrounds, you don't need any pre-education, everybody can step in, and then we help you, we guide you to that education course that fits your skills best. And also a lot on practical skills. Not only for the university. I think most of that will not go to university, but at least we open up and try to get people connected. But it's not easy, and I don't have the solution. Thank you.
Then we have a question here.
Yes.
You're number 2, and you're number 3. Okay.
Yes, here, yeah. David, yeah, here. Oh, yeah, that would be better. Yeah, David from the University of Liège in Belgium. So you said that one of your proposals was to indeed bring what the industry needs inside universities. And coming back to the story of the 3 pillars, in which for researchers, the first 2 are compulsory, but the third is not. And in many universities, we have the problem, and yesterday we were discussing that with lots of people, that it's very difficult to engage the researchers there because that's optional for them. And indeed, that's pushback from universities oftentimes. So in your case, I would say, and also maybe in a larger scale, maybe at the scale of ASTP, I mean, how can TTOs or larger structures try just to lobby or do something more concrete and binding to have the researchers more involved into that and not just something optional that they do if they want to?
What I believe is starting from the students, the PhDs, because what I see, the younger they are, the more open they are to work together and to provide from the very beginning the differentiation in career paths. So that people, of course, everybody starts with doing research and education, but if you support them in how to connect to companies, to make long-term strategic partnerships, we aim for 10 years strategic partnership. A researcher can also develop her or his career in that partnership and can get a promotion based on a more valorization-oriented career. So I think by providing partnerships and money to do other things to promote in your career. And what our students always ask, what can I do with my study? Connect me to possible jobs. If you engage teachers, researchers in connecting to companies or even to policymakers, for instance, building the city, housing, infrastructure, students get very enthusiastic and professors are pushed to go outside the university walls and to go outside only their own publications. And what I see is a big push from the students because they want to know, and especially the female ones, can I make impact? What can I do with this study? And so I believe we should engage the young generation because they question more, do I make a difference if I go in this direction? And the students push teachers to make connections to industry or policy making. So I think there is maybe a small thing.
Two last questions. Gentleman here.
Thank you very much for the... Can you hear me? Okay, so it doesn't work. Thank you very much for the outstanding presentation. Rainer Wessel, Chief Innovation Officer of the German Cancer Research Center. So I'd like to add on your first slide actually on innovation is basically funneled by economic and military competition. I think if you go to the West Coast about 50 years ago, there was a lot of military money flowing in, actually igniting the venture capital system. And if we see where we're standing today, Vilnius, today the German battle group is inaugurated here. And the question is, facing this military competition now and also seeing that the European Union is investing 600 billion in this field, how can we basically, that's the question, how can we engage into that as a community? Second, how can we bring, and that goes, I think, to your community aspect, civilian and military groups better together?
Thanks for the question. Yeah, I think this is a huge opportunity where we can show that we act united. And what we are doing now in the Netherlands is also making profiles. Where are we really good at? Where can we build complete value change from knowledge to innovation? And where is industry? So I think even now, even more than ever, the connection to industry is important because we have to be able to produce. If you see what's happening now with the drone industry, every 6 months there is a completely new innovation. So I think we should make a kind of map, and that is already happening. What is strong where? For instance, the laser expertise you have here. We should really strengthen the already existing industrial companies and connect them more to innovation and act united. Use the university alliances, connect the regions. We are also, for instance, connecting very strongly to Munich region because they also have great things. So see what is already there and connecting regions, not trying to do everything ourselves. We need to act as one Europe. So I think this is a huge opportunity.
Hello, Jakub Jasiczak, Polish Tech Transfer. It was a question, but now it will be a comment and a question. So we as a tech transfer in Poland, we bring to scientists big challenges from the environment. They trust us, but they do it against the system because of this evaluation and everything. So, but now we see this switch, and this is from your slide you wrote about creative insecurity. So what is happening now in Poland? The directors of National Science Center and National Center for Research and Development. So the guys that are giving money, they are switching from we can't tell scientists what to do, we have this academic freedom, to okay, let's inspire them because those proposals must be better. And my stand here, and I would like to have your comment on this, is that we should rethink the role of our tech transfer, of how we operating, because we should be throughout the entire research process, not at the end, but at the beginning. And even big corporates in Poland now are saying us, let's mix teams and let's start from TRL 0. So what we need to do, and we see this in Poland, we need to go to rectors and give them ready to implement solutions, and we need to go to ministries and do the same. They don't know how to do it, we know how to do it.
I fully agree, and that's also the differentiation in the university. Let the people that like to do curiosity-driven fundamental research, let them do it. We really need it. But you also have others who want to do that impact-oriented, who want to work with collaboration and provide them a platform. That is exactly what we are doing now, and what we as executive board like a lot, because it comes up from within the community. And there you really need the professional support. In defense, we cannot afford to make mistakes. We have to do it in a professional way. We have to drive up our security levels. But not everybody has to go. I'm a strong believer of the coalition of the willing. If you have a few, go with that, focus and deliver. So fully agree.
Yeah. That's it, folks. Silvia, thank you. We could talk to you all day. I'm absolutely sure. It's been great to have you, very inspiring, both positive but also a bit of a kind of wake up, come on, we can do it. And doing lots of interesting things at the University of Eindhoven, well done, the Technical University of Eindhoven. I also would like to add that in the Netherlands, I've read, 50% of all rectors are women. Of all the rectors, university rectors are women, which is pretty amazing in view of the fact that it's 14% at the European level, so you are kind of trailblazers in some respects anyway. So yeah, but well done. Let's give a huge hand to Silvia. We've been around loads of both the big painting and the smaller stuff. It's been great, Silvia, to have you. Thank you so much for coming.